So Storm Shadow does come with a base, so that's nice. Now it does come with a string. It's not very long though, and it's attached to kind of a little handle and then also kind of a hook. This was released with the cutter figure from the 25th anniversary line, as well as one of the shipwrecks. I don't believe it was released with the first one, but it was released with at least the second shipwreck and the cutter figure from the 25th anniversary line. They're calling it a climbing rope. I don't really know how much this would really help. I guess it's just basically to hook into the ice and pull him up a little bit. It's not meant to help him climb, a high area or something like that. Like he's not trying to get this over a roof or something like that. He's just basically throwing it up, latching into the ice, pulling himself up, and then kind of doing that type of thing, I guess. Would have been nice if he would have got some arm guards, because he does come with some, but I'm not really sure if they would work that well with the ice. He also comes with this claw here. I'm not sure exactly what the name is, but I know there is a name for this type of weapon. It is nice. It is painted. The silver comes off really well. Would have been nice if he would have came with two of these though, because maybe this would be a little bit easier to climb into the ice with if he had two of these to kind of climb up the walls of ice instead of this. But this is kind of like a weapon as well, I guess. It's kind of like a nunchuck type thing. I could see it wrapping around a sword or something, and then he could pull it out of someone's hand, or maybe it could wrap around somebody's hand or neck. So it is useful, I guess, if not just for climbing the ice. He does come with a twin scabbard that has two swords. We've actually seen this scabbard and swords quite a bit of times. At least I think it came with at least both of the Rise of Cobra, or maybe even 3 of the Rise of Cobra figures actually. So I believe this is the 4th time that we've gotten this scabbard, double scabbard backpack. He comes with this kind of bladed staff that has a blade on this side, and also a really jagged, kind of serrated side to the right here. It's got a nice emblem on it. So there's a closer look at the emblem that's on the twin blade or double blades, because I could see it both as a serrated as well as a non-serrated blade. It's kind of got like a little dragon on it, and it's also on the other side. So for those of you that want him to be able to hold all of his weapons, he really can. I don't know how much hand-to-hand combat he could be able to do, but if you want to pose him with all of his accessories, this is him with most of them. And then I also have an interesting way of how I would put on the other accessories that he comes with. I'm not sure how comfortable or how realistically he would be able to walk with them on like this, but this is how I would pose him so that I wouldn't lose any of the accessories, because right now this has him holding every single accessory that he comes with. So this is where I would store his ice traction blades. I may be wrong, but when I think of traction I usually think of tires or shoes or something like that, so I really don't see how these are used. It would have been nice if there was instructions or maybe a picture of him holding them in some way. I don't really see them as blades. They seem a little too big to be something that he would fight with, and he already has the claw attachment arm weapon, so I'm really not understanding these ice traction, but this is one way that I would pose them. So here's one way that they could be used. He's able to have them on his forearms as well as still hold a sword or his climbing hook here, or a blade in the other hand. And here he is holding his staff as well as holding his traction ice blades. With mine, when I first got them out of the package, they were a little loose, and even now they're still a little loose on his hands. They kind of wobble back and forth. So if you do happen to get some where they're a little too loose, I was able to, without too much trouble, to be able to push them together like this, and there was no stress marks, and continue to be no stress marks. But you can microwave some water maybe for 30 seconds or so, and then dunk this in there really quick. And don't get it too soft, but soft enough that when you squeeze it together, it should hold the shape once it cools, and you shouldn't end up with any stress marks on the back of the weapon. And then it will fit a little bit tighter on his arm or forearm. It would have been nice if there was maybe a handle as well, where he could actually hold on to it. But right now it just basically just kind of slides around on his forearm right there. I really don't see the, reason for it. I probably won't use them on this figure very often. I mean, he's got two swords. He's got this blade here. I don't really see why he would need these. But I did try to at least put it where he could grab onto one of the bars that are here. So I put one through his hand. But as you can see with how this fist is molded, he really doesn't grab onto it. But that might give you a little bit more stability with it. But it still feels way too loose. And even if we try it on the other arm. On the other hand, it just won't work for me because they've decided to mold his thumb pointing down, so it's not actually grasping anything. Maybe if I did squeeze the fingers a little bit together or did the boiling water thing, it might hold it a little bit better, but I really think it was just meant to go somewhere else, or that was supposed to be put on the forearm. But again, it's just so wide and open, so I really don't see myself ever using these. But it would have been nice to see him using these to kind of climb up the ice. But again, you would think if he was using them to climb the ice, you would want them a little bit shorter, not as long as they are. So definitely a weird idea for an accessory, and I'm not really understanding it completely, because again, if you have that thing that just won't stay on, you might as well just use these claws that come with him. Two of these would have been a lot better, I think, than whatever these are supposed to be. So if anyone has an idea or thinks I'm using them the right way on the forearms, here we have Storm Shadow's whirlwind kick, and then here we have Snake Eyes tornado kick. So unless I'm missing something, they look exactly the same. I guess it's just that Snake Eyes can't have the same thing as a Cobra enemy kick, so he has to have his own, and then Storm Shadow has to have his own. But the two different figures do pose differently than how they do show on the packaging, so they do kind of, in some ways, I guess, have two different types of kicks. So we'll go ahead and show you Storm Shadows next. So the skirt does limit articulation a little bit. You know, he can sit down, he can still get in some poses, but when he's supposed to be doing the whirlwind kick, they have him with one leg back and then one leg to the side, and that's about as far as he goes. So to make his kick a little bit different, I more see it as one where you would push him up as far as he can go, which is about there on that leg, and then this is about as far as he can go back on the back leg, and then you're just going to wind it one turn, and then the button's right there, and then this is how he does his whirlwind kick, or at least how I see it. But again, I am okay with their action feature. If they had to have it, it'd be interesting to see whose idea it was. Some people always say that it's the stores doing it, maybe it's Hasbro doing it, maybe it was the designer, maybe they really do have research and kids really find that exciting. But at least that's where it is. There have been times in the past where they've done articulation problems, in our opinions, that are collectors that don't like action features in our figures, where you've had to squeeze the legs together in order for something to happen, or it will be in the arm, and so when you use the arm, it either won't be posed in all the different ways that you can, or it will make a ratcheting sound. So at least by putting in the waist, unless you're using the actual back and forth, on most of your figures, which I really haven't ever really done, then you can still get the waist to move this way. You can still get it with a little bit of force to move that way. So it really, I guess, if it has to be there, at least they put it somewhere where you really won't even notice that there's an action feature in it at all. So as always, thank you for your rating, your commenting, and your subscribing to my channel. I appreciate you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed this take on the Storm Shadow from Pursuit of Cobra, the Cobra Ninja Mercenary. And we will see you all next time. Bye.